International Court of Justice orders Israel to take necessary and effective action to ensure basic food supplies arrive without delay in Gaza. Former South African President Jacob Zuma barred from running in general election in May. "45 people killed in South Africa after bus plunges into ravine. 8-year-old child is only survivor." An Indo-Aussie pair of Rohan Bopanna and Matthew Ebden storm into final of Miami Masters. The US government has approved $60 million emergency fund to state of Maryland to rebuild the collapsed Baltimore bridge. The funding will also be utilized in removing of the heavy debris shattered in the water to reopen Baltimore's shipping channels. Massive barges carrying cranes steamed towards Baltimore on Thursday to begin the challenging work of removing metal and concrete from the river. The bridge came tumbling down early on Tuesday after a massive cargo freighter that had lost power plowed into structure in Baltimore Harbor. 2 bodies have been recovered and 4 other missing people are presumed dead.
We submitted an initial $60 million request to the Biden-Harris administration for initial mobilization, operations, and debris recovery efforts. And I can report that as of this afternoon, the Biden-Harris administration has approved that request. We are deeply grateful to President Biden, to Secretary Buttigieg, to our federal delegation, and all of our federal partners.
Meanwhile, a probe is underway to determine the cause of the accident. Officials from National Transport Safety Board boarded the cargo ship on Thursday, inspecting damage and downloading ship data. New insights surfaced a day after the incident, saying that the cargo reported losing power and the ability to maneuver before plowing into a support pylon of the bridge. Let's get more from DD India correspondent Patrick Folk. Patrick, the cargo ship is owned by a Singapore-based company, and Singapore is now launching a dual investigations into the Baltimore bridge collapse. What can we expect here? All right, we are trying to reconnect with the correspondent Patrick Folk, who's there and giving us details about the tragic incident, which is the Baltimore incident. And it's a tragic incident wherein the ship collided and the bridge collapsed. 2 bodies so far has been recovered, and investigation is on in the entire incident. Probe is on. 2 pilots will be asked questions regarding the incident. It's a tragic incident, and to give us more details on that, our correspondent Patrick Folk is there. It's indeed, like I said, it's a tragic incident, and the cargo ship is owned by a Singapore-based company, and Singapore now has launched investigation into the entire matter, in which a ship collided with a bridge and the bridge collapsed. 6 people approximately died and 2 bodies have been recovered so far. New insights surfaced a day after the incident, saying that the cargo reported losing power and the ability to maneuver before plowing into a support pylon of the bridge. Well, the investigation is going on, and there may be one more reason why the ship collided into the bridge. We all know that that's power failure, but why the power failure? The investigation, one of the aspects of the investigation is that there may be a contaminated fuel, and because of the contaminated fuel, there are chances that the ship may have lost its power because the engine stops working, and this is one of the aspects of the investigation which is going on. That's a very tragic incident that took place and the investigation is still going on in the entire matter. 2 pilots will also be questioned regarding the incident, and for that updates, we are trying to reconnect with our correspondent Patrick Folk. We'll get back to him. But meanwhile, the International Court of Justice has ordered Israel to provide immediate unhindered delivery of aid to Gaza. Judges at the International Court of Justice on Thursday unanimously ordered Israel to take all the necessary and effective action to ensure basic food supplies arrive without delays to Gazans. In Thursday's order, the court reaffirmed the January measures but added Israel must take action to ensure unhindered provision of basic services and humanitarian assistance, including food, water and electricity, as well as medical supplies and medical care to Palestinians throughout Gaza. The judges added that this could be done by increasing the capacity and number of land crossing points, maintaining them open for as long as necessary. US President Joe Biden's campaign has so far raised more money than that of Donald Trump. The Biden team pulled out all the stops on Thursday, having planned a major fundraising event in New York City. Former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton were in attendance. Leading us, Jody Jacobs reports from New York.
It's not cheap running for the President of the United States, and both candidates are in a race against time to raise as much money as possible ahead of the election. According to Open Secrets, Joe Biden's candidacy has raised a total of about $188 million, while Donald Trump has managed about $179 million. Analysts believe that Biden's managed to pull in more money due to his incumbent status and support from his Democratic predecessors. And that was, of course, on show here in New York City on Thursday. The Biden team managed to raise some $25 million at a fundraiser in the city. Former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton are helping the Biden campaign. Both are in the city to attend the gala at Radio City Hall. According to Biden's campaign team, this sets the record for the biggest fundraiser for any political event. But many say more money is not necessarily an indication of success. Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in 2016 when she raised close to $800 million in comparison to his $430 million. Trump has one major fundraiser planned for early April. It's set to take place in Palm Beach, Florida, and donations for that event range from $250,000 to over $800,000. Jody Jacobs in New York, reporting for Didi India.
South Africa's former President Jacob Zuma has been barred from contesting upcoming general elections scheduled for May. The country's Electoral Commission has not given a reason. Former President Zuma has been campaigning for the recently formed Umkhonto we Sizwe party in an attempt to restart his career after he was previously in prison for contempt of court in 2021. Zuma is also facing charges of corruption over a multi-billion-dollar arms deal from the 1990s when he was vice president. The 81-year-old served as president from 2009 until 2018 when he had to step down because of corruption allegations. Tragic news coming in from South Africa. A bus crash in South Africa's northern province of Limpopo resulted in 45 deaths and 1 serious injury. The ministry alleged that the driver lost control and collided with barriers on the bridge, causing the bus to go over the bridge and hit the ground where it caught fire. The passengers were pilgrims traveling from Botswana's capital Gaborone to an Easter service in the town of Moria. An 8-year-old girl, the only survivor, was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Rescue operations went on late into Thursday evening, with some of those killed reportedly and others trapped inside the debris and scattered on the scene. French President Emmanuel Macron visited Brazil for a 3-day trip to strengthen bilateral ties, especially focusing on environmental concerns, which was neglected during the former Bolsonaro administration. President met with President Lula, pledging joint efforts to halt Amazon deforestation by 2030. The two presidents also attended a ceremony for launch of a submarine project symbolizing collaboration between France and Brazil in defense and technology.
Visit to the South American country. Brazilian President Lula da Silva met President Macron in Belém near the mouth of Amazon River. The presidents of France and Brazil celebrated the launch of Brazil's third French-designed submarine at the Itigua shipyard near Rio de Janeiro on Wednesday.
Our partnership with your high level of cooperation in cutting-edge technology reinforces Brazil's determination to achieve greater strategic autonomy, essential in confronting multiple crises and challenges that humanity faces in this 21st century.
The submarine is part of the country's defense partnership and serves to secure Brazil's 7,500-kilometer long coastline. 85% of the country's oil and 75% of its gas is transported from Brazil's Blue Amazon. The program aims to build Brazil's first nuclear-powered submarine by the end of the decade. This third submarine, built with a $10 billion partnership with France and fourth, is set to launch in 2025. Meanwhile, Brazil and France unveiled a $1.1 billion plan for 4 years to protect the Amazon rainforest. The initiative focused on promoting investments in the bioeconomy and creating a carbon market. President Macron also conferred France's highest order of merit to Raoni Metkuri for his fight to protect the rainforest.
I wanted to say that we will continue to lead it alongside you. When it was necessary to support the foundation and preserve our part of the forest, we were there and we will continue to be there.
During the last year of his diplomatic trip to Brazil, French president called EU-Mercosur agreement a very bad deal that lacks proper climate considerations, while Brazil has said it is ready to sign an agreement.
Moi, je crois très profondément que nous devons.
We need to rethink our trade rules in light of this advantage, which is why I prefer to put my foot down in front of this assembly. I have spoken out very forcefully to say that Mercosur, as it is negotiated today, is a very bad agreement. But I think it's a very bad deal for you and for us.
Mais je pense que c'est un très mauvais accord pour vous et pour nous.
The EU-Mercosur agreement is a proposed free trade agreement between the European Union and Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. The deal took 2 decades to finalize in 2019. However, the agreement is yet to be ratified by the European Parliament. Macron is the first French president to visit Brazil in 11 years, and he is seeking a fresh start after spats with former President Jair Bolsonaro over environmental concerns. During this historic visit, both Macron and Lula expressed their commitment to the conservation, restoration and sustainable management of the world's tropical forests. Bureau Report, TD India.
Poland on Thursday said it will join international efforts to help the Olympic Games in France safe by sending troops, including sniffer dog handlers. Poland's defense minister on social media platform X said the Polish armed forces will join the international coalition established by France to support the preparations and security of the 2024 Summer Olympics. He wrote, "A task force of soldiers, including dog handlers, will be sent to Paris. Its main goal will be to undertake activities related to the detection of explosives and counteracting terrorist phenomena." The announcement was made on the day France's chief of defense staff visited Warsaw. The French government raised the country's terror alert warning to its highest level on Sunday following the shootings in Moscow just a few months before the games kick-off on July 26th. Well, France has moved a step closer to banning discrimination in the workplace against hairstyles. France's lower house of parliament has approved the legislation in the National Assembly. The law will bar employers from requiring hair to be straightened and for afros, dreadlocks and braids to be covered. The bill, which aims to ban all discrimination against hair texture of haircuts, will also protect blonde women from sexist discrimination. The bill was approved by 44 legislators against only 2, while many MPs did not vote at all for this first reading of the text. It has to be approved by Senate to become a law. All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. In Haiti, gang violence continues, state emergency extended. Saudi Arabia elected to chair the United Nations Women's Body with no objections. Beating the heat, two adorable giant pandas playing in pool of water. We get you the details. Stay tuned.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and we are tracking a big story for today, which is the Baltimore bridge collapse that took 6 lives and 2 bodies have been recovered so far. To give us more details, we've been joined by our correspondent Patrick Folk for more update. Patrick, now the cargo ship is owned by a Singapore-based company and the country has now launched dual investigations into the matter. What can we expect?
Yes, glad we're able to reconnect. But yeah, as you say, 2 separate investigations going on. The first one essentially is to see whether or not any Singapore laws were broken. And the second one is to see whether or not anything could have been done in order to prevent any future sort of accident of this kind. We also know that the MPA has sent a team of investigators from Singapore to Baltimore to assist the US Coast Guard, but it says that the Dali did have valid certificates at the time of the accident covering its structure and the functionality of the equipment. It also underwent 2 separate foreign port state inspections in June and September last year. In June, it was found that there was a faulty fuel pressure gauge, but that was fixed at the time of the inspection. So there isn't anything immediately on the surface that we can see that Singapore might have done to prevent this from happening.
All right, Patrick, investigations still going on, and there may be one more aspect that there might be a fuel in that cargo ship which is contaminated and which might cause the power cut. But it seems there may have been warning signs about the Dali. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, reports have suggested that the Dali did have a bit of a checkered history of sorts and had been involved in at least one accident in the past. It was involved in a collision in 2016 in the port of Antwerp in Belgium when it hit a stone wall, and that was during unmooring maneuvers. It did suffer some damage at the time to its transom and its stern, but it was repaired. But as Dali's flag state, Singapore has the responsibility to conduct an investigation into all of this and to ensure its safety as well. At the same time, though, in the event of any sort of accident event of this kind, the flag state doesn't necessarily assume any liability. That may fall on the insurers, but it's going to take some time before we find out more details and really get to the bottom of what exactly happened.
Definitely, Patrick, this is a developing story. We'll keep taking updates from you on the matter. It's giving a hard time to the insurance companies and also to the commuters as well. Thank you so much for joining in and thank you so much for your analysis on the same. Now, Russian investigators on Thursday claimed that gunmen who killed more than 140 people at a concert last week had ties to Ukrainian nationalists. US has dismissed allegations as baseless propaganda. Russia has said from the outset that it believes Ukraine was linked to the attack, even though Kiev has denied it and Islamic State has claimed responsibility. In a statement, Russia's investigative committee said for the first time that it had uncovered proof of Ukrainian connection. It said there was confirmed data that the attackers had received significant amounts of cash and cryptocurrency from Ukraine. Another suspect involved in the terrorists' financing scheme had been detained, the committee said. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby described the Russian allegations as nonsense and propaganda and said Islamic State was solely responsible for the attack. The US is asking American companies to stop shipping goods to more than 600 foreign parties over fears the items could be diverted to Russia for use in Ukraine, a US official said on Thursday. The US Department of Commerce sent letters in recent weeks to at least 20 companies with the warning, the latest effort to block the Russia war effort in Ukraine. The companies make and sell products found in missiles and drones recovered inside Ukraine. Russia on Thursday vetoed the annual renewal of a panel of experts that oversees the enforcement of long-standing United Nations sanctions against North Korea. The US State Department said it's deeply disappointed by Russia's veto of the renewal of the mandate of UN Security Council's panel of experts, which sanctions North Korea over its nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs, spokesman Matthew Miller said on Thursday.
The United States is deeply disappointed by Russia's veto of the United Nations Security Council's 1718 Committee Panel of Experts mandate renewal. We are also disappointed that the People's Republic of China decided to abstain after 14 years of supporting this important mandate. For the past 15 years, the 1718 Committee Panel of Experts has been the gold standard for providing fact-based, independent analysis and recommendations on the implementation of UN sanctions on the DPRK.
All right, and Saudi Arabia was elected to chair the United Nations Women's Body, the Commission on the Status of Women, with no objections. Abdulaziz Al-Wasil of Saudi Arabia will serve as the chair of the Commission on the Status of Women's 69th session. In his acceptance speech, he pledged to collaborate with all members of the Commission to promote gender equality. He emphasized that Saudi Arabia is committed to the empowerment of women. The CSW, established in 1946, is a global policy-making body dedicated to the advancement of women. It holds annual meetings in March to promote gender equality and women's empowerment. Well, El Salvador seized 1.48 metric tons of cocaine found in 2 vessels. The Navy detained 6 Ecuadorians and 3 Guatemalans during the operation for allegedly trafficking drugs. El Salvador's Defense Minister, René Francis Merino, said that 2 vessels left Manta in Ecuador and at a specific place at sea, abandoned these vessels and moved the drugs to another boat. The seized drugs are estimated to be worth $37 million, Merino added. More than 1,500 people have been killed so far this year in Haiti as gang violence continues. The country has extended a state of emergency while trying to deal with the civil unrest and set up a new government. DD India's Latin American correspondent Maritime has more details.
The United Nations has described the situation in Haiti as cataclysmic, with more than 1,500 people killed in the Caribbean country since the beginning of 2024. The UN's High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said on Thursday that all these practices are outrageous and must stop at once. The most recent UN report says some 4,500 people died last year. Since February this year, Haiti has been facing a political and security crisis as rival gangs battle for control. Criminal organizations have attacked strategic locations such as the international airport and police stations and blocked main roads, preventing the distribution of food and essentials across the capital Port-au-Prince. For now, a state of emergency that began a month ago has been extended until early April, but is likely to continue as the capital continues to be controlled by heavily armed civilians. This comes as the Caribbean nation is working to establish a new government through a transitional presidential council. Even though Haiti's prime minister said in mid-March he would hand over his office when the transitional government takes office, the council is not officially installed yet. In Caracas, Maritime reporting for DD India.
Port-au-Prince. on to evacuate Canadians who want to leave Haiti as gang violence spreads. Foreign departures from Haiti have picked up recently as the country's political future hangs in limbo, with armed gangs expanding their control over the capital and further afield. Earlier, Canada said that it would initially be facilitating travel to the Dominican Republic for vulnerable Canadians who need medical attention for those with children. Around 30 Canadians who are travel ready with the necessary documents have so far come forward to leave. The Canadian government was working on another departure option for family members of citizens and permanent residents. Senegal's President-elect Bassirou Diomaye Faye and his political partner Ousmane Sonko met ongoing President Macky Sall on Thursday, a rapid ascent for the opposition leaders who just weeks ago were in prison. Opposition candidate Faye won over 54% of votes in Senegal's presidential election, with Sall's hand-picked successor Amadou Ba taking around 35%. More than 100 kidnapped Nigerian students were welcomed back home by their local community in the northwestern state of Kaduna on Thursday after being freed by army. Large crowds gathered in the town of Kuriga to celebrate their return. Over 100 Nigerian students and staff who were kidnapped earlier this month were freed by army on Sunday. The army announced on Sunday it had rescued 137 hostages in the neighboring state of Zamfara, days before a deadline to pay a 1 billion Nigerian currency naira ransom for their release. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands of Guatemalans participate in this year's Holy Week celebrations, which have been granted UNESCO heritage status since November now. The week-long festival actually stretches over 6 weeks, culminating at Easter with processions, vigils and brightly colored carpets lining the streets of this Central American country. Pope visits female prison for Easter period foot washing traditional ritual on the first of 4 event-filled days leading to Easter. The ritual commemorates Jesus' gesture of humility towards his apostles at the Last Supper on the night before he was crucified. Queen Camilla stepped in for the king at the traditional Monday service. The Queen greeted people awaiting her outside Worcester Cathedral with British flags and flowers after the service ended. An anti-monarchy protest was held nearby. Two adorable giant pandas at Animal Reserve Doordarshan were seen playfully splashing one another in small pool of water, cooling off as the weather begins to heat up. The Doordarshan Animal Reserve covers an area of about 126 acres, equipped with panda hospital, a medical lab, 10 sets of monitoring enclosures, and many more. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates meets India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Poll fever grips India. We get you the latest report on elections. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will hold bilateral talks with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba in New Delhi.
Welcome to a happy place. to nature's warm embrace. Witness the power of faith, fruits of hard work, and protectors of Mother Earth. Unique in every way. Discover something new every day. A small state with big ambitions. And a bigger heart. Mizoram welcomes to love, laughter and celebrations.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bhardwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. U.S. government awarded the state of Maryland $60 million to rebuild collapsed Baltimore bridge. Investigating team probing ship data also to question 2 pilots. The International Court of Justice orders Israel to take necessary and effective action to ensure basic food supplies arrive without delay in Gaza. Former South African President Jacob Zuma barred from running in general election in May. 45 people killed in South Africa after bus plunges into ravine. 8-year-old child is only survivor. And Indo-Aussie pair of Rohan Bopanna and Matthew Ebden storm into final of Miami Masters. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both had a freewheeling chat discussing a range of issues from artificial intelligence (AI) to digital public infrastructure and efforts to combat climate change. Interaction between Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be telecast today at 9 a.m. IST on DD India. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will hold bilateral talks with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba in New Delhi. The 2 leaders will discuss global and regional issues of common concern. The 2 leaders will also hold talks on issues related to bilateral ties and review the Intergovernmental Commission that was held earlier.
He'll be here for on a 2-day visit. As you would have seen, we have issued a press release in this regard. He'll have a bilateral engagement with the External Affairs Minister, where they will go over the gamut of issues that lie in the domain of bilateral relations, and also review the Intergovernmental Commission that was held earlier. They will also discuss issues regarding global issues and regional issues of common concern.
Well, let's get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic election. Ahead of India's 2024 general elections, Samajwadi Party has issued their list of 18 star campaigners. This list includes name of National President of the Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav, and party MP, including Jaya Bachchan. First phase of voting will be held on 8 seats of northern state Uttar Pradesh on April 19. The ruling party of India's western state of Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, has also released its first list of 8 candidates for the upcoming general elections. Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena has directed Delhi Police Commissioner to carry out a thorough investigation into the derogatory social media post from the handle of Congress leader Supriya Senate against actress and BJP candidate from Mandi, Kangana Ranaut. The move comes on the basis of BJP leader Bansuri Swaraj's complaint to Saxena demanding an investigation and registration of an FIR against Shanate for outraging the modesty of a woman. The LG has issued directions to police to ascertain the truth in the entire episode as well as subsequent claims made by Shinate denying her involvement. Police will also investigate as to who deleted the post after nearly 2 hours and the device used for deleting the same. With a sea of choices for the voters to choose from, there exists an option for them to express their disapproval as well. There's a report that tells you more about this unique feature, the choice of Nota, or none of the above.
India is the largest democracy in the world, and in the true sense of democracy, voter is the king. With India being a multi-party system, the choices before a voter range from the representatives of various political parties and independents. But if none appeals, he or she can register that choice too, the option of none of the above or Nota. In India, if a voter does not support any of the candidates contesting in a particular election, he or she has the option to select Nota or none of the above as a measure of registering their disapproval of all the contestants. Nota was used for the first time in the 2013 Assembly elections in 5 Indian states, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Delhi and Madhya Pradesh, and later in the 2014 general elections. The Supreme Court of India reasoned that the Nota option would allow voters to express their discontent with the political parties and the candidates they put up, and thus help cleanse the political system. But it's a method by which the voter can register his or her disapproval only. The option has no real electoral value. Even if the maximum number of votes cast is for Nota, the candidate getting the most of the remaining votes would be declared the winner. Around the world as well, countries like Colombia, Ukraine, Brazil, Bangladesh, Finland, Spain, Sweden, Chile, France, Belgium and Greece allow their voters to cast Nota votes. The United States also allows it in a few cases, and the state of Texas in the US permits the provision since 1975. The Nota option may not hold much electoral value, however, it represents a section of electorate dissatisfied enough to prefer no candidate over the ones contesting. Despite its capacity to alter election results, Nota's overall vote share has seen a decline. From 1.41% in the 2018 polls to 0.97% in the recent elections, the drop indicates a shift towards more decisive voting or voter education about Nota's implications. Antara Sinha for DD India.
The notification for the second phase of Lok Sabha elections has been issued. The elections will be held in 88 Lok Sabha seats in 12 states and 1 union territory in this phase. Leaders of various political parties have hit the campaign trail, making all efforts to win over the voters. Here's a detailed report.
The process of filing nominations for 88 parliamentary seats across 12 states in the second phase of the Lok Sabha elections began on Thursday. The notification for the second phase of the parliamentary polls to be held on April 26th was issued by the Election Commission on behalf of the President early on Thursday. The last date for filing nomination papers for this phase is April 4th. On April 5th, the nomination papers will be scrutinized in all states and union territories except Jammu and Kashmir. In Jammu and Kashmir, the scrutiny will be held on April 6th. Polling in one part of the outer Manipur Lok Sabha constituency will also be held during this phase. The states and union territories going to the polls in the second phase are Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tripura, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, apart from one part of the outer Manipur seat. In the northern Indian state of Bihar, prominent candidates of the national and regional political parties filed their nominations in Gaya, Nevada, Aurangabad and Jamui for the April 19th Lok Sabha poll. Former Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi filed his nomination from Gaya as the NDA nominee. He will be taking on RJD candidate Kumar Sarvjit. BJP nominee from Tripura East Parliamentary Constituency, Kriti Singh Deb Burma, also filed her nomination papers on Thursday. Meanwhile, leaders of various political parties have hit the campaign trail in different parts of the country. Mahavikas Aghadi Alliance met in the port city of Mumbai on Thursday, where alliance leaders deliberated on common minimum program and holding joint election rallies. In the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, DMK candidate from South Chennai and party's sitting lawmaker began her election campaign from T Nagar in Chennai. The AIA-DMK has fielded Dr. J. Jayawardhan as its candidate from South Chennai. In Mumbai, the veteran Bollywood actor Govinda joined Shiv Sena Eknath in the presence of Maharashtra CM Eknath Shinde. On the other hand, Congress party released its fresh list of candidates for Lok Sabha. The party has fielded Ajay Rai from Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, while former minister Pradeep Jain Aditya has been given the ticket from Jhansi. But Supriya Srinath, the national spokesperson of the Congress, has been dropped. The party has made Virendra Chaudhary its candidate from Maharajganj. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Minister of Finance Nirmala Sitharaman interacted with professionals from various fields in the Thiruvananthapuram constituency in Kerala. During her interaction, Minister Sitharaman underscored that electoral bonds don't entail any black money transactions. She said that transfer of money from one account to another account is being done in right manner and electoral bonds have been helpful to all parties, including the opposition. However, she mentioned that she respects the action of the Supreme Court in this regard.
Talking about the electoral bond as it existed before the Supreme Court gave its orders, it was the law of the land. What it did to what was the system which was prevailing earlier to bringing it one better than what was prevailing then was the purchaser or the donor will put his money into an account. And the bond encasher or the political party will receive it in their account. So the account-to-account transaction shows you that it is absolutely white and traceable.
In order to combat maritime security, India-Mozambique Tanzania sea phase saw INS Tir, INS Sujata, Tanzanian naval ship Fatundu and Mozambique naval ship Namatili engaged in coordinated operations after rigorous harbour phase, strengthening interoperability and readiness for maritime challenges. Good Friday is being observed across the globe today. The day commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and his death at Calvary. Good Friday is an important day in the Christian calendar as it marks the beginning of the Easter weekend and the culmination of Holy Week. It's a day of mourning and reflection for Christians all over the world as they remember the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and his suffering on the cross. On this day, Christians engage in sorrow, penance, fasting and attend church services. Well, let's go live across to DD India reporters getting us inputs from Kerala and Mumbai. Sam is with us from Kerala and Shama Mishra is with us from Mumbai. To begin with, I would first like to ask Sam. To begin with, Sam, tell us about the significance of Good Friday.
Good morning, Siddharth. Good Friday special services are going on in churches. Believers have gathered to reflect on the sacrifice of Jesus and participate in special services that recount the events leading up to his crucifixion. In Kerala, we have numerous Christian communities with different traditions. The way of the cross procession is the most important ritual of the day. Believers retrace the final steps of Jesus before his crucifixion. This symbolic journey is a powerful reminder of the suffering and sacrifice of Christ. In Kerala, Malayatur pilgrimage is very important to believers in this week. There is a church on the hilltop in Malayatur near Ernakulam. It is believed that the Saint Thomas, the disciple of Jesus Christ, the founder of Christian Church in India, held prayer at the place where the church is situated on the hilltop of Valayattur. The 14 stations of the Way of the Cross in Valayattur is very popular. In the Way of the Cross, believers kneel down and bow down head to the floor many times in 14 stations. These 14 stations symbolically recreates the different incidents during the crucifixion day of Lord Jesus Christ. Mainly, Catholic churches are doing the Way of the Cross ritual on this day. All other churches having special prayers on this day. Today's worship will last till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of the churches will provide lunch after the service. It is only a minimum food, that kanji and fire, very traditional food of Kerala. Kanji means porridge, just cooked rice with its cooking water, and as side dish, green moong dal and pickle. Having a very minimum food of, having a very minimum amount of food, also a tradition of the Passion Week. After today's service, people will start preparation for the Easter celebration.
All right, I'll come back to you, but now Shama has joined us from Mumbai. Shama, how's the day being observed there in Mumbai? Because this day is observed as Jesus Christ's ultimate sacrifice for humanity's sin.
Right, Siddharth, we are here in Mumbai, and as Sam was mentioning, that people over here, or the churches over here, are enacting the Way of the Cross, stations of the cross. There are 14 stations, as he's mentioned, and this is a very powerful depiction which leads to, to show us the ultimate sacrifice which Lord Jesus has done. So this is a day where Christians reflect and they mourn and they understand, they remember the sacrifices of Jesus Christ, how Jesus laid down his life, sacrificed his life, and for the people, for the sins of people. So as I was mentioning, that there are 14 stations. Each church over here, they are holding special services. They are also holding the enactment of the 14 stations of the cross. And likewise, if you see over here as well, we are here at a Mahim church, which is also known as the Church of Our Lady of Victories, and these are the various stations which are being depicted. And over here, like a skit, it started off from the church where Judas, his friend or friend of Jesus, he betrayed him. That enactment happened here, and then the 14 stations were enacted outside. So the people of Mumbai will also understand the sacrifices of Lord Jesus, and this is a day where people mourn, where Christians mourn. And this is a 40-day Lent where Christians are mourning. So this is the biggest day of mourning. And as I was mentioning about the stations, so the first station is Jesus is condemned to death. Then the second station is Jesus takes the cross. Yeah. This is the same cross where now where the Christians now believe it to be a powerful depiction. So all these sacrifices will be enacted, and different churches have different timings which they are enacting. And this is a very, involving, interactive enactment where people across the places where this enactment would move. This is basically on a truck, on an open truck, where Jesus and the soldiers, they are enacting the entire skit, entire stations, and through these skits, people would get to know, people would get to understand the supreme sacrifice of Lord Jesus, and that is why today remains the biggest day of sacrifice, remains the biggest day of mourning. But yes, we are also looking forward to Easter Sunday, where the Christians will celebrate the return of the Jesus.
All right, Shama, thanks for your analysis. The day certainly commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and his death at Calvary. Thank you so much. Researchers from the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, in collaboration with the University of Animal and Fishery Sciences, Kolkata, have formulated 3 ingenious treatment. And that's a solution for certain type of knee injury that has historically proven difficult to treat. Trauma to the knee meniscus, a cushioning tissue in the knee joint, is commonly occurring yet complex problem. These new developments signal a significant advancement in treating knee injuries, providing a solution that is custom made for each patient and could also potentially prevent future complications such as osteoarthritis. Now, former cryptocurrency billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried was sentenced to 25 years behind bars for his role in perpetrating one of the biggest financial frauds in the US history. The founder of now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX, Bankman-Fried, is being sentenced in a New York Manhattan federal court for stealing billions of dollars from his cryptocurrency exchange FTX customers. During the hearing of his sentence, founder of now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX, he apologized to his former colleagues as he braces for the prospect of decades behind bars. Bankman-Fried was convicted in November 2023 of stealing $8 billion from FTX customers. The former billionaire CEO faces decades in prison for fraud and conspiracy charges stemming from his role in the collapse of FTX. Prosecutors say he took more than $10 billion from unsuspecting customers. Meanwhile, Bankman-Fried's team, which is expected to appeal, had argued for a lighter sentence of roughly 5 to 6.5 years. Now, with less than a week to go before shareholders elect Walt Disney's board, the race for votes heated up, as in one institution investor sided with CEO Bob Iger and company's directors, while another backed hedge fund manager Nelson Peltz Tryon Fund Management. The New York City retirement system, which owned $291 million worth of Disney stock at the end of last month, said the entertainment giant should get more time to achieve the strategic transformation it is working on under Iger, rejecting the nominees from Tryon and Blackwell's Capital, another activist fund that also wants board seats. While cocoa prices have reached record highs as drop in the global supply leaves chocolatiers scrambling to secure the essential raw ingredient, millions of cocoa farmers in West Africa faces a painful watershed moment. Many eminent chocolate brands are looking to cut costs as heavy rainfall and crop diseases drive cocoa prices to record highs. Last year, the 27-hectare-long plot in western Ghana was covered with nearly 6,000 cocoa trees. Today, less than a dozen remains, impacting 60% of the global supply. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport. In men's doubles, duo of India's Rohan Bopanna and his Australian teammate Matthew Ebden, they stormed into the ongoing Miami Open finals on Thursday night. The duo sealed a solid win over Spain's Marcin Granollers and his Argentine partner Horacio Zeballos by 6-1, 6-4 earlier. The Indo-Aussie pair beat Australia's Sam Verbeek and his Netherlands partner John Patrick Smith in the quarterfinals. Rohan Bopanna and Matthew Ebden will take on Croatia's Ivan Dojic and his American partner Austin Krasik in the finals on Saturday. Two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu will take on Thailand's Supaninda Kateithong in the quarterfinals of Madrid Spain Masters tournament today. And earlier on Thursday, Sindhu beat Chinese Taipei's Huang Yu-sun 21-14, 21-12 in the second round of the tournament. The former world champion, who finished runners-up in the last edition, beat Canada's Wen Yu Zhang in top lopsided contest. With top-seeded Carolina Marin of Spain pulling out of the tournament, Sindhu is now the favourite to claim the crown and end a long wait. Sindhu won her last BWF Tour title at the 2022 Singapore Open Super 500. Well, let's now take you to France, where a manatee cow found a home at Paris Zoo. Manatee cows are also called sea cows as they graze on underwater vegetation. The threatened species has seen its numbers dwindle to less than 10,000 amid loss of habitat, injuries from contact with the propellers of ships and pollution. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.